So the first thing to get out of the way if you want to speedrun Jet Set Radio Future is you need to learn that this game is heavily movement based. You can learn every trick in the book. You can get Kwikage, you can get ladder jump, you can even get Cucumber for all I care, but if your movement's shoddy, you're not getting very far. In this video I'm going to quickly go over some of the main movement mechanics used in Jet Set Radio Future speedrunning. Even if you're not planning on speedrunning the game, I think some of these are worth knowing for casual play. Now this is going to be a quick overview and you're not expected to master any of these right away, but luckily a lot of these are used in the run, so it comes with time and practice, and you'll be a master at all of these in no time. When skating around in Jet Set Radio Future, if you make a sudden turn in the opposite direction, you'll go into a slide animation. This will slow you down to basically 0, and you'll have to build up your speed again when you go in the other direction. To avoid this, we use a technique called quick turns. At its core, quick turning is simply an animation cancel. By doing a sharp turn to the left and then moving your stick in an upwards direction, you can cancel the sliding animation and continue on in your leftwards direction. Worth mentioning, this only works when going to the left, as going to the right doesn't have the same slide animation, so you can't break out of it. By doing 2 sharp left turns in quick succession, you can do a full 180-degree turn without having to wait through the entire slide animation, allowing you to maintain your speed. You can also do this while skating in reverse, which can allow you to do slightly sharper quick turns than you could usually do. Whenever you enter a level in Jet Set Radio Future, your controls will be locked and the camera will be facing the entrance you've just come in from. This can be a problem because you're essentially skating into a level blind. Luckily, you do have options besides waiting to gain control, resetting the camera, then skating forwards. Your first option is to hold Y as you enter the level and just hold the direction you want to move. So in this situation, coming into Shibuya Terminal, I'm holding down and holding Y. This will have me in reverse and going in the direction I want, which allows me to reset the camera while still going in the intended direction. The other option, if you want to boost coming into a level, is just hold B. As soon as you start boosting, you can reset your camera and go in the direction. When you do this, you don't even need to hold a thumbstick in any direction. You just hold B and you'll boost forwards. Then when you reset your camera, you can change direction to whichever way you want. A great feature about Jet Set Radio Future is it has a built-in speedometer that lets you know how fast you're going at any given time. Additionally, a great thing about the Quick Save mod is that it has a built-in speedometer that gives you a number at any given time, so you know exactly how fast you're going. It's important to learn roughly how fast you're going at any given time, so here are some basic values to get you started. When skating normally, you'll build up speed, then skate at a consistent 175 units. Generally speaking, this is the slowest way to get around the map. If you skate up or down a ramp, the game will accelerate you to 250 speed units. While this is faster than skating normally, it's usually for very brief sections. When grinding a rail, your max speed is 250, with the only exception being if you're skating downhill, where your max speed is 275. As you can see on this rail here, whenever I go onto the rails that aren't flat, I gain additional speed. Boosting will use up 10 cans, but it puts you at the highest normal speed, which is 300. Usually this is the fastest way to get around the level if you have the cans to do it. When it comes to gaining speed, there are a few things you should know. The first thing is a dash. A dash is when you move forward and you get these black lines around your character. This just signifies that you've got a dash and you're accelerating at a slightly faster rate than usual. This allows you to get to top speed faster than if you just go forward and don't get those black lines. Now, these can be a bit finicky due to a mix of hardware issues and the game being a bit weird, but thanks to UCF, which is a part of the speedrunning version of the game that we use, we don't have to worry about this so much and we should get dashes relatively consistently. So when you jump on a rail, you gain a speed modifier. This speed modifier will help you build up speed quickly. If you're going at a slow pace, you can use this to your advantage by jumping on the rail multiple times and building your speed up to maximum quicker than if you were to trick. Generally speaking, this is useful if you come out a cutscene and you've lost all your speed and on a rail, you can just jump on it to gain your speed quickly. It's great then. The one thing to keep in mind is if you're going too quickly, beyond 200 speed units, jumping will make you do a trick jump, which is actually slower than doing the short hops onto the rail. So at that point, it's worth tricking to gain the rest of your speed. Which leads us nicely into tricking, the way the devs intended for you to go quick. When pressing X or Y on a rail, you'll do a trick, and when the animation for that trick ends, you can do another trick. If you want to build up speed quickly, then you'll want to be doing X tricks in rapid succession because the tricks are shorter than Y tricks. It's also worth mentioning that when you do a trick jump, so a jump that's over 200 speed, you can do additional trick jumps while in the air. This can be used to avoid fall damage because as long as you're doing air tricks in the air, you won't take fall damage when you land. It's also worth mentioning a weird quirk with trick jumping, where if you perform a trick while mid-air, you'll stay in the air for about 0.1 seconds longer than if you didn't do a trick. This is only true of the first air trick you do after jumping, as additional air tricks will not give you additional air time. While this functionality doesn't really matter in the vast majority of cases, it's worth keeping in mind for any situation where you may need to shave a tiny amount of time off what you're doing already. And now we get to the fun stuff, maintaining your speed. When you're almost done with your boost dashes, you can do a shuffle at the end to preserve your momentum longer than if you let the boost dash run out normally. To do a shuffle, all you need to do is click the left thumbstick and the game will slowly reduce your speed. This is really useful because it allows you to maintain your speed much longer than if you were to continue to skate normally after a boost, as it allows you to maintain more speed for longer. Another way you can maintain your speed is by short hopping. A short hop is any jump that's under 200 speed units. When you jump, you won't lose any speed unless you hold backwards while in the air. This is useful when you're going above 175 speed and below 200 speed, as it allows you to maintain higher speeds than you would normally be able to for longer periods of time. A good example of this in action is holding back on the thumbstick when you're about to jump off a rail, bringing your speed to just under 200 and then jumping off. As you keep jumping, you'll maintain a speed that's higher than the default 175 that you would normally have when skating. It's worth noting that if you jump off a rail that isn't going downhill, you'll be going at a speed that is exactly 200, allowing you to short hop immediately after landing and not having to worry about doing another trick jump. And now we get to the fun part, the bane of every IL runner in existence, frame boosts and kisses. Now, this takes a bit of explaining. Whenever you jump on a rail or a wall ride, the game will increase your speed to help build up speed faster. However, this will actually take you past maximum speed for a single frame before the game actually corrects it on the second frame. Thanks to this quirk in the game's movement calculations, we can actually abuse this to gain higher than normal speeds by exiting the rail or the wall ride on the first frame. The first way to accomplish this is to jump on the first frame that you hit the rail or wall ride. If you manage to jump on this exact frame, you'll jump off the rail or wall ride at a speed 114% faster than when you started. It's worth remembering that a frame boost is frame perfect. You're not expected to get multiple frame boosts one after another constantly. It's just not humanly possible. However, there are a few jumps throughout the run where going for a frame boost gives you minimal risk and only potential reward. So in those situations, it is worth going for the frame boost. The other way you can achieve this additional speed is called a kiss. A kiss is when you land on a rail or wall ride, but you land so close to the edge that your character naturally falls off it before the second frame. As a result, it's worth mentioning that the higher your speed is, the bigger the window is to hit a kiss. That's because if you've got a higher speed and you hit a wall ride or a rail, you'll get a higher amount of speed for that single frame, which gives you a higher chance of getting off the rail or wall ride before the game will correct your speed. Hitting a successful kiss will give you a 143% speed boost until something reduces your speed again. One interesting thing to note about both frame boosts and kisses is they can be chained one after another. This is primarily used in ILs, but it's worth keeping in mind, say if you're going towards the sewer's entrance. If you're able to hit multiple frame boosts in a row there, you can get to the sewers a lot faster than if you don't hit any frame boosts. Another frame perfect trick worth mentioning is a perfect shuffle. Let's say hypothetically you're falling from the sky at 300 speed. When you hit the ground and go back into skating mode, you'll go to 175 speed units relatively quickly. However, if you shuffle when landing, you'll be able to preserve some of that speed and go further in a shorter amount of time. The best case scenario is to shuffle on the same frame you hit the ground, known as a perfect shuffle. This will let you preserve the highest amount of speed possible and let you go the furthest distance with the speed you had before hitting the ground. When spraying graffiti, your camera will change to look at the graffiti, which is known as the Graffiti Camera. While in this mode, for a majority of the sprays in the game, your movement will be locked in two directions, forwards and backwards, and the game will try and keep you perpendicular to the spray. One of the key challenges with this mode is on certain sprays you'll be forced in a direction you don't want to go in after finishing the graffiti. The easiest workaround for this problem is to jump to maintain both your trajectory and your speed. In some scenarios this can even be combined with a quick turn and a jump to travel away from the spray. However, just to be awkward, there are some sprays in the game that when you spray your movement won't be locked into two directions. One of the most prominent examples is the final spray in Churro Street, where you move away from the spray off the building. While I won't go into all of the examples in this video, I've linked a video by Krabby in the description that goes over the specific sprays that have this behaviour in case you're curious. When spraying graffiti while grinding a rail, you'll be able to jump off the rail in any direction. However, your jump direction will be affected by the camber. What this means in practice is that say you're grinding on a straight rail and there's a graffiti on your left. If you move right, then jump, you may jump to the left. Luckily, there's only a handful of graffiti where this matters in any percent, so you will learn on a case-by-case basis how to deal with these. Another thing worth bringing up about the rail graffiti camera is what I like to call graffiti camera lock, which can happen when you're holding a direction before a spray and jump, which will send you in a locked direction until you return the stick to neutral and move again. This can be particularly detrimental during heli skip, where on this particular jump you can fly off the intended path into the water and basically kill a run. The way to avoid this is to have your thumbstick in a neutral position and then move it in a direction after you spray the graffiti, which will allow you to have more control over the direction you go in. While maybe not the most vital thing to know, it is worth quickly going over half-pipe mechanics. While grinding on a half-pipe rail on a majority of half-pipes in the game, if you click the left thumbstick, you can actually drop down into the half-pipe. By holding back on the thumbstick, dropping down into the half-pipe and jumping in rapid succession, you can do what's called a del transfero. This will allow you to change directions while on the rail and go in the opposite direction you were initially.